Today's podcast is going to be about personal development. When in doubt, help others out. Our mind is a lighthouse. In broken seas and torrid winds, its repetitious illumination brings solace to its seekers or madmen of those stolen by its glare. Our bodies are its keeper. Do not dwell. For what you choose for your mind, in turn chooses for you. Remove the negative thoughts and be conscious of your reactions. Tell yourself what you want to do and refrain from telling yourself what you shouldn't. These are things that can seem very cliche, possibly, but they're things that are very true as you start to get through a lot of mistakes in life. And a lot of that is because of your impulsive, rash tendencies as a young, learned, or learning uh, adolescent. And it's something that even later in life, people can still be going through that. And I've always found myself really at a crossroads. I've always considered myself quite a fractured person. Never really knew how I fit in to the puzzle set that I was supposed to put myself into as things unfolded in life. And, a lot of the ways that the norms as they were, it turns out it didn't seem so normal in a lot of ways, at least to my own standards. I mean, I was a chameleon in that sense, able to fit in, but, in my own mind and my own skin, very uncomfortable, especially with the fact that I was able to fit in and blend in so many ways and kind of, do the things that many would just assume to be normal, in society, just, the whole 9 to 5 type of job and all the expectations that might come of somebody in the Western world, and the expectations put on us by our parents, our older siblings or relatives, any strange things that happen in that regard. Obviously that's always another whole different ballpark, but there's a lot of shit that goes on in life, pulls you in many different directions, and you know especially when you don't have so clear of a focus early on, really get lost in a lot of that. And you could definitely find yourself alone, and that's where it's important for you to be most comfortable with yourself, even if you are in a bad condition, as you would put it, because I really feel like everybody should be their own worst critic, and you should be the harshest on yourself. And hearing negative criticism from other people, yeah, it might trigger your ego, but at the very least, you probably should have heard that before from yourself. So it should be no surprise when you do hear these things coming from other people. At least that's the way I've always approached things in life. I was always overly critical of myself, and that was something that I think I could have let up a bit on, and not been as gung ho as I was in that way, thinking overthinking really, and what they say is overanalysis leads to paralysis, and that that is a certainty for sure. You really want to get working on things, and even if it's not the most productive or most refined thing what you would like to create, you really should get started on that, because that that groundwork, that foundation, that first step that you're taking makes it so much easier to take the next one. Gives you something to work with, and it gives you something to refine, and tell yourself that you did it, at least a small part of what you're looking to do. And that's where you got to keep yourself focused, is one day at a time. And when it comes to ourselves, that's a journey that will never end. It'll never end, and it shouldn't end. At least that's your true fulfillment in that sense, is constantly being open to, life throwing hurdles and obstacles and adversaries and adversity against you in all different ways, and being prepared for that, because it's super easy to blame bad luck on a lot of things. And when I was young, I was pretty steadfast in my own head that a lot of what happened to me was just bad luck with a lot of things. And it really, some part, sure, but a lot of it was that I wasn't prepared. And, when opportunity comes to you and you're not prepared for that, it might very well look like bad luck, because you don't know how to make anything of what happened. And usually those opportunities are so grand that it can kind of just come and smack you out of left field, and just like, what the hell was that, and this is bullshit. They didn't, that was like an amazing opportunity or whatever it might have been for me to have done XYZ, whether it be like a new job, or hey, that girl looks beautiful, that guy super charming, and like, you miss your opportunity, where you just weren't prepared, you weren't ready, whatever it might be. That's something that personal development can really do a lot for you. And even if you're not the best person characteristic wise, and attributes, even physical characteristics or mental, acumen or charisma, or whatever it might be, that you have a physical defect, or you're a lisp, or narcolepsy or something. Anyway, the point is that, not being so preoccupied with the things that are bad about you, there's the serenity prayer, and that's very important to have the awareness to know the things that you can't change, the courage to change what you can, and the knowledge to know the difference, the wisdom to know the difference between those. But that's something that can really break a lot of things down in life, is just making it easier for yourself by stop telling yourself everything that you're not looking for, and even when that does come your way, just, take it as it is, and don't suffer before you actually have to. That's something that a lot of people do, especially if you're an over analytical type of person, myself included, and it can whack us out of shape, really getting preoccupied with all the stuff that we might not feel good enough about, or that we're not doing. And the biggest thing that has saved me on my, path of putting together the broken pieces, you know and fitting myself into this puzzle that I had no place wanting to be involved with, is that, having somebody else along for the ride is comforting in so many ways. And a lot of people, especially now, they really are like locked into this whole single life. And, to each his own. If that's really how you feel, and you don't think that that's going to bring you anything, and it hasn't, then, who am I to say your experience is not valid in that sense, in your opinion? But what I can say for you is that when you do find the right person, it's something that can provide so much to you, because there's a part of everybody that's missing. Absolutely. Especially, I could see it with a lot of the guys that I've been with. A lot of what we put out on the outside is very different from how we are in a relationship as a man. And, I've seen that. There's plenty of guys that you know them when you're hanging out with the boys. When they're hanging out with the boys, they're very different from when they're with their girl. And that's something that is just the tip of the iceberg, really. Because when you're in a healthy relationship and it is somebody that you are open with about almost everything. I mean, there's things in a relationship that you don't want to share. You shouldn't have to share, you know? These are things that are part of you, especially nowadays, like with your phone and stuff, having people be on your phone, checking your phone and this and that. But it's like, in a real healthy relationship, I mean, if if there were to be something that you're hiding anyway, then again, maybe not a healthy relationship, but in a situation where you are with somebody that is right for you, this is going to lead to a healthy relationship. And these are things that you have to stop comparing like bad relationships to. People who are in bad relationships, there's no excuse. There's many reasons, but there is no excuse to be putting yourself through that and then also be telling people at the same time like, oh, marriage is terrible, everybody gets divorced, there's a 50%. Yeah, because of these people who are getting married and then are like, marriage is trash. Like, stop getting married when you're not ready. Do not get married. When you get married to somebody, you better be willing to put in the time and effort to really do every single thing, both of you, to figure the shit out. Because that is the marriage part. No matter what, you guys, God, whether you believe God exists or not, first of all, you got married, so you were in a church. Now, you got a whole, what do they call it? A civil union, whatever it is, where you get it done by the state. That's different, I guess. But when you're doing it, either way, you should have some self-respect. You're going into a civil union, whether it's with the state or through the church. You are going into something that you need to understand that there is a commitment to that. And you really need to give it your all. The vows are there for a purpose to, enlist your commitment to this commitment. So stop fucking getting married when you're not ready to, because you're just giving it a bad name. I can't say. I don't think I'm gonna get divorced. I have no intentions on that. But anyway, let's stop talking about what's not gonna happen. The point is that there's a lot of wondrous things when you really meet somebody, because they can really provide the other half of you that you don't have access to in pretty much every physical sense. They, women, your other half, if you are a man who wants to be with a woman, then you know that really is your other half completing you. And it's not, it's shallow for people if they're engaging just for one thing, whether it might be money or sex or just a companion or something. You're really only getting one facet of that thing. The whole package is even more than that. You can have in all those individual things, from a friendship or a one-off or a good friend. Could be having all types of benefits and great relationships in a sense. But there is something that happens when you form that bond with somebody, and you can literally go through every day with this person. It's something that not everybody can do. There's a reason why so many people drop out, in a sense, because it's not for the weak of heart. It is a commitment. It requires a lot. There is a lot of compromise. And that's the 50% where it's like you don't even know that you have another half until you find the right person. And that's where you'll see that there's no explaining it to a degree, because it's only something that an experience can give you, that these people, whoever it might be, that they complete you, they make you whole. And for me, it's like it's been more than making me whole. It's an experience that I don't know what I would have done without it, you know? And it's a love that is so profound in me. It's something it's something that really shakes you sometimes, where, I can't wait for when I have a child to experience what it's like to really, I mean, I'm not the one bringing that into this world, but I can't imagine how strong that love will feel, because a relationship is a lot like that. And I think for a lot of men, your wife, your girlfriend, that is in a sense like your first daughter. You're really taking care of another soul. You're really nourishing that and trying to create this symbiotic relationship where you can both prosper, and you do have to be the leader. And sometimes, the women, no matter how much younger they might be than us, they are quite attuned to different things than us, and they are emotionally more adept at just understanding that, like, a lot of the manly characteristics that we have, we don't have to use them all the time. The ego serves a purpose, a very, very valid purpose. It is for the defense of you as an individual. And that's something that men tend to possess too much of and women too little. The ego serves an enormous potentiality in our everyday life. For women, the ego could rightly get you that raise that you deserve and have maybe tried to get before. Those things that get you excited, get your blood boiling, that you deserve better. And what are you doing letting them walking all over you like that? And this has been going on for this long, and you really, this is something that you voiced, you've tried to say things about, you're not being heard, you're being minimized, you're being talked down to, condescended to, whatever it might be. Whatever you have to tell yourself at the end of the day to kind of get yourself a little pump. Get it going. There's times that is necessary. And not as a man, but as an individual. You have to respect yourself. You have to have self-worth, and you need to show that in your actions. The things that have led to a lot of the bullshit happening today is because people are, instead of going against the bullshit that's happening, people are like, well, if I don't go along with this stuff, I'm going to lose X, Y, and Z. Now, what are the things that are important to you as an individual? It is your own values. Like, what are the things that are first, Like, in this life, I've always seen that, by the time I was like 15 years old, for the most part, this puzzle I'm talking about, there's some crazy shit going on, but a lot of it is, pretty simple to figure out. So it's like, I never worried for the most part. I'm not living on the streets. I didn't grow up on the streets, thank God. But I'm not going to return to the streets. Like, I'll always, in my mind, find a way to make it, find a way to get through, And that's something that, regardless, whether it is that you will always find a way to make it to the next and find a way to prosper, or that, you're protected by this, godly spirit, and that no matter what, you're destined for greatness. Pick whatever you want. At the end of the day, having something that is a spiritual safety net, that you are not going to compromise your own values as an individual to just nothingness, something that these people are asking something from you, that really you're only getting this temporal ticket in return, that is not anything. You're compromising so much about yourself for whatever it might be. But in the end, remaining true to those values that you have, and the things that are inherently right to you, you're gonna be led on a path that takes you to the doors you were supposed to open. You know, a lot of the shit that you're not supposed to be involved with, those doors are gonna close. You know, things are gonna be difficult for you. But on that path, just keeping momentum and continuing that pace, one step, day to day, make your bed, start with the smallest things and work from there. I have multiple sclerosis. I mean, my body was falling apart 2 years ago. Like, my diagnosis was pretty much, I had a build up to it, but it was just rapid after my diagnosis, where I guess, you know, knowing a bit about what's going on with you and the psychology as well, it just took me downhill. But I've been pretty much getting rapidly better from the minute that I started to put my potential into everything that I could do and stopped worrying about all the things that I can't do anymore, you know? And on that process, you know, I'm not even worried about the things I can't do, but there's so much more I can do now. A lot of that shit, if I was to even be telling myself, you know, it's not possible, I probably wouldn't be at this point where I could say that I'm walking up and down the stairs. I'm able to jump sometimes, you know, I'm able to do things that really I was totally like handicapped. Going from running at least a mile a week to going to just nothing, like the ability to, so anyway, there can be these rapid drop offs, and it could be, you know, you lost a job, you broke up, you know, I don't know, lost a family member. There's a lot of unfortunate things that can come our way, but working on ourselves and being most comfortable with ourselves is important, because you do not want to end up in a relationship that you're reliant on another person to keep you afloat in some way. You should both be helping each other out, and you should both be synergistically helping build each other up into something better than just the individual parts. You know, when you can come together and create something better than just the individuals, I think that's where you're already on the right track to, you know, maybe forming a healthy relationship. But you've definitely got, you've got fruitful bounty there, where there's something to work at, you know. And maybe, you know, not everybody is meant for each other, and those are things that maybe you can continue on in your own way. But I mean, you handle these things one step at a time. And you know, you don't always have to get involved in like a relationship. It's important to be friends with people, for sure, and definitely respect those boundaries. And I think that can teach you a lot about jealousy and like your ego, really, because your ego is gonna fuck with you a lot when it comes to a relationship and jealousy and stuff like that. And you know, that shit is so juvenile. It really is. You know, jealousy, it can be helpful in a way, as can some possessive behavior, if you want to frame it in a, you know, in the qualities that are like, you want that person, you know, you don't want to lose them. Those are like the only good things about that stuff. But other than that, you know, like, let go of a lot of that, especially when you're dating somebody and getting into that game, because those are things that right off the bat, if you don't have the self-discipline of, you know, just realizing like, man, sometimes as a dude, take it as a challenge. Take it as a challenge, man. I've always seen it like that, where, you know, you were being threatened by another man. Now, if you seriously think you're the better guy, then why are you threatened in that sense? Like, man up and do what you gotta do to have that not be a problem. And I'm not talking about like square up to this guy right away. I'm talking about like just, you know, win him over, win her over. in that way. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can very easily appeal to a woman that is not just physical attraction. If anything, thank God that they're so different, because men would have a real hard time if they had to be how we are with other men. You know, like, if I don't know what the percentage of gay men that like alpha dudes, but I'm telling you, it's definitely really low. So imagine, anyway, that's a whole different story. But anyway, you're better off with women. So trust me, stop abusing your status as this dominating, masculine figure, and realize that there's more power to being soft spoken with women, especially if you're power bearing and you are intimidating, and that's the contrast and the mystery that woman will be intrigued by, that's for sure. And that restraint, because men showing restraint is one of the most important things for a woman. I think, you know an intelligent woman, maybe more so experienced woman, would definitely know that a guy who has more restraint is going to be a more viable candidate for a serious relationship, because having that discipline and just controlling yourself as a guy is like more than half the battle we got to get through our life. And I think that's what kills us early. So yeah, take it easy, relax. That's where you can rest easy sometimes as a man, where it's like, yeah, you're kind of the boss. You don't got to do anything. Genetics kind of did a lot of the work for us. So stop, like, fucking, you know, throwing that power out there. Just embrace it, and, go do your push-ups, get it out. Go do your fucking squats and your bench presses in the house. Get all those screams out, and then leave the ego at the door. Join the rest of humanity as regular people. And then it's like, I wish we could do the opposite with these people who got their head so filled that it's like their ass and all the contents of their bowels are just floating around in their fucking skull the whole day. Like, people in government, a lot of the people who are pushing this shit going on right now. I mean, good God, how far this stuff is gone. You got them like starting shit with toilet paper. Everybody forgets about the toilet paper shortages and stuff. Them making the scare. They do the little tester. They see how everybody's feeling about that. Oh shit, the toilet paper. Oh, that really hit. Everybody's going nuts. They're buying fucking toilet paper like crazy. Let's get the pandemic going. Anyway, that's a whole nother 500. Maybe you could listen to a bunch of that on my other podcast. But anyway, I appreciate you guys listening in. If you appreciate this video in any way, like, subscribe, thumbs up, all types of things. Deep state webcam will get all this stuff updated one day, but maybe it'll help. It'll help me get me through the filter, all that type of stuff. Anyway, love you guys. Bye, John.